Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're unpacking a literally epic piece of sci-fi history. We're talking about the ultimate underdogs. It's the story of a species that was just totally dismissed, treated as this massive galactic punchline by the rest of the cosmos, but they secretly held the fate of the entire galaxy right in their hands. Okay, let's just dive right into this, because the sheer scale of this narrative is absolutely going to blow you away. Right out of the gate, we really have to ask ourselves, how exactly did the galaxy's absolute most fragile species survive the end of the universe? It's kind of the ultimate paradox, right? Because when the apocalypse comes knocking, you'd expect the biggest, the strongest, the most heavily armored guys out there to save the day. But what happens when sheer physical strength just isn't enough? What happens when the survival of the entire galaxy relies entirely on the very people everyone else ignored? Well, let's jump into our first section and see how this all sets up.
Section 1. The Galactic Punchline. 3,000 years of mockery.
So, for over 3,000 years, humanity's baseline reality was basically just getting mocked. In the grand hierarchy of the cosmos, humans were widely considered to be, well, small, slow, fragile, and utterly insignificant. They definitely weren't feared, they weren't respected. Honestly, they were practically a giant inside joke shared among the stars. And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates the sheer arrogance of those alien empires. Humans break their bones falling downstairs. Like, they would literally laugh out loud during official Galactic Council meetings. They'd ask, how does a species even survive with such weak bodies? They need machines just to compete. The entire civilized galaxy was in complete 100% agreement about human weakness.
I mean, just consider the sheer physical contrast for a second. On one hand, you have the actual apex predators of the galaxy. We're talking the towering, massive warriors of the Drakari Empire and the heavily armored titans of Warren Prime. And on the other hand, us. Small, slow, fragile humans. But here's the really crucial thing you need to take away from this. Despite all that constant belittling, humans never actually argued back. They never tried to puff up their chests or prove their physical dominance. No, they simply sat at those council meetings, listened to the insults, and smiled.
Section 2. Rise of the Swarm. A civilization ends.
But, a smile can only hide so much, and the galaxy's arrogance was about to be completely shattered. The escalation of this civilization-ending cosmic horror was terrifyingly fast. Just follow this timeline with me. First, entire star systems out on the outer colonies just go dark. No distress calls, no wreckage, just an eerie, empty silence. And the Council? They totally ignore it. They blame it on pirates or, equipment failure. But then comes Phase 2. A heavily damaged probe drifts back into civilized space. Phase 3 is the absolute nightmare footage it carried. A literal black ocean made up of millions of living organic ships moving like a swarm of insects, just burning planets and consuming every living thing as food. This horrifying reality instantly forces these previously divided alien empires to unite, which leads us straight in to the Battle of Karthus.
10 million. I really want you to let that number sink in for a second. 10 million warships. This was the strongest fleet the galaxy had ever gathered. Literally the largest military force ever assembled in the history of the universe. The alien empires believed victory was an absolute sure thing. They poured all their might into the Battle of Karthus. Sectors of space were turning white with the sheer volume of energy weapons. But the swarm? They never retreated, they never stopped, and they certainly never surrendered. In just 6 hours, those 10 million warships were reduced to floating debris. The galaxy wasn't just losing a war anymore, they were facing a completely unstoppable extinction event.
Section 3. Humanity takes command. The weakest lead. So imagine the sheer, unadulterated panic. Entire worlds are evacuating. Governments are literally collapsing. And at this emergency session of the Galactic Council, desperate leaders have absolutely zero solutions. The room is in total chaos. And then an elderly human representative stands up, calmly looks around this terrified chamber, and just asks to assume military command. Of course, a Drakari commander arrogantly fires back asking what military experience humans could possibly even possess. And that is when the human calmly unleashes our dark, incredibly extensive resume of violence. 5,000 years of fighting each other, world wars, civil wars, combat across burning deserts, dense jungles, oceans, freezing mountains, and the cold void of space. The sheer volume of our internal conflicts is honestly overwhelming. See, while the towering aliens relied on their brute physical strength to fight off external threats, humanity had spent millennia forging themselves in the fires of endless, incredibly varied conflict.
And it all really boils down to this incredibly chilling realization.
While the galaxy enjoyed peace, humanity perfected war. That single statement completely silenced the Laughing Council. You could probably hear a pin drop. In an instant, the entire galactic power dynamic flipped on its head. The aliens finally realized that humanity's fragility was strictly physical. Psychologically and strategically speaking, we were the apex predators.
Section 4. Unleashing Project Guardian. Secret Industry.
With absolutely no other alternatives left on the table, the Council hands over command. And almost overnight, it's like humanity flips a massive switch, transforming entire asteroid belts into booming industrial centers. But the real crown jewel of this hidden preparation was Project Guardian. Now, this wasn't just about building a few extra ships. This was a covert initiative of unfathomable scale. Ancient shipyards literally opened up from deep beneath Earth's oceans. We're talking gigantic doors parting the seas as thousands of Titan-class warships rose into the sky. Every single one of them was larger than a city, armed with weapons that could crack moons and boasting shields tougher than most planetary defenses. Humanity hadn't just been sitting there quietly taking insults all those years. They had been secretly preparing for a war nobody else could even imagine was coming.
So we actually see this brilliant preparation put into action at the planet Helios. The swarm arrives, fully expecting just another easy slaughter. But human commanders had studied literally every previous battle, every single mistake, every tiny pattern. They executed a perfectly studied tactical maneuver. Step 1, a planned fake retreat. Step 2, the mindless swarm takes the bait and follows them straight into a massive kill zone. Step 3, boom, millions of hidden mines detonate, which halts the swarm's advance for the very first time ever. And finally, Step 4, human fleets sweep in and attack from every possible direction with absolute precision strikes, taking out the swarm's command organisms, their supply creatures, their communication nodes. It was a masterpiece. In just 12 hours, that entire invasion fleet is completely annihilated.
But crazy enough, that was just a scout force. The real war dragged on for years and completely consumed the galaxy, costing billions of human casualties. Yet the true reason for humanity's ultimate survival was our evolutionary edge. See, the swarm was this overwhelming but highly static force. Humans, though, every single defeat led to better tactics. Every setback birthed brand new technology. Every single loss was a painful but vital lesson learned. Humanity evolved and adapted under pressure infinitely faster than their mindless enemy. This is exactly why our dark history of internal conflict mattered so much. We already knew how to adapt to survival-level pressure.
Section 5. The Final Strike. One final mission.
After years of grueling, brutal war, the true source of the swarm is finally discovered. It's this massive biological megastructure, literally larger than a solar system, hidden way out beyond known space, and it's controlling every single swarm ship in existence. So humanity steps up and volunteers for a desperate suicide mission, taking the absolute largest fleet in history out into the total unknown. And then, for 3 agonizing days, the galaxy heard absolutely nothing. Just complete and utter silence. Everyone, and I mean everyone, believed the human fleet was gone for good. But then, a single crackling transmission broke through the static. 4 words that forever changed the universe. Target destroyed, we're coming home. Instantly, the central intelligence of the swarm was completely severed. Across the entire galaxy, those terrifying organic ships just stopped dead in their tracks, becoming nothing more than lifeless husks floating in the void. The war was over.
Months later, the Galactic Council gathers again, but this time around there are no jokes. As the human delegation enters the room, every single alien species stands up in a gesture of unprecedented, massive respect. The council leader steps forward and asks the human representative what reward they could possibly want for saving literally every civilization in existence. And the human, wearing that exact same little smile they had worn for 3,000 years, humbly declines. They ask for absolutely nothing, simply stating, "That's what neighbors do." And the resulting applause? It lasted for hours.
Humanity was never the weakest species in the galaxy, not by a long shot. They were just the only ones wise enough not to flaunt their strength until it was absolutely necessary to save everyone else. And that really leaves us with a pretty powerful question to reflect on. What hidden strengths might be lurking behind the quietest voices in the room? The next time you see someone being underestimated, I want you to remember the silent strength of mankind. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.